First contact at Frontier Station. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck of Frontier Station Delta, her reflection ghosting against the reinforced plasteel window. The endless void of space stretched before her, punctuated by the dying red dwarf that had brought humanity to this distant corner of the galaxy. 20 years of maintaining humanity's furthest outpost had taught her patience, but nothing had prepared her for what she now witnessed. "Status report," she commanded, her voice steady despite the uncertainty churning in her stomach. Lieutenant Rodriguez's holographic projection flickered beside her. "The object's closing velocity has decreased to sublight speed, Commander. Current trajectory suggests deliberate deceleration. This is no asteroid." Sarah watched as the approaching vessel caught the red dwarf's light, its surface fracturing the dim illumination into 1,000 prismatic shards. The ship, if it could be called that, resembled nothing in humanity's database. Its crystalline structure defied conventional engineering, appearing more grown than built. "All departments, condition yellow," Sarah announced through the station-wide comm. "This is not a drill. I repeat, condition yellow." The station's response was immediate and precise, exactly as they'd trained for first contact scenarios. Though in 2 decades of operation, they'd never actually needed those protocols. Until now. "Commander," Rodriguez's voice carried an edge of concern. "The vessel's radiation signature is unusual. Our sensors can't get a clear reading, but there's something about its crystal matrix that's interfering with our scanning equipment." Sarah nodded, her augmented eyes zooming in on the approaching ship. The neural implant at the base of her skull processed the visual data, overlaying tactical information across her field of vision. "Have Dr. Patel's xenobiology team standing by. If these are truly first contact conditions, I want every possibility covered." The crystalline vessel continued its approach, now close enough that Sarah could make out intricate patterns etched across its surface. They reminded her of circuit boards, but organic somehow, as if they'd been grown rather than etched. "Ma'am," Rodriguez interrupted her observations, "we're receiving a transmission." Sarah straightened her uniform. "Put it through." The sound that filled the observation deck defied description, a haunting crystalline resonance that seemed to vibrate through Sarah's bones. Her neural implant struggled to process it, sending confused signals that manifested as swirling colors in her peripheral vision. Dr. Patel's voice cut through the strange harmonics. "Commander, the transmission appears to be some form of crystalline harmonic language. We're attempting to decode it now, but the complexity is extraordinary. Keep working on it," Sarah ordered. "In the meantime, let's show our guests some hospitality. Rodriguez, prepare docking bay 3 for possible first contact procedures. I want a full quarantine field in place and security teams on standby. Medical personnel as well, but keep them behind the containment barrier." As the station crew rushed to prepare, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter would change everything. Humanity had theorized about intelligent life for centuries, sent probes and signals into the void, hoping for a response. Now, at humanity's furthest outpost, that response had finally arrived. The crystalline ship aligned itself with docking bay 3 with impossible precision. No pilot, human or AI, could have managed such perfect positioning. As the docking clamps engaged, a soft crystalline chime resonated through the station's hull. "Commander," Dr. Patel's voice was breathless with excitement. "We've made a breakthrough with the transmission. It's not just communication, it's mathematics. Pure, complex, beautiful mathematics. They're teaching us how to talk to them." Sarah smiled. "Of course. Mathematics. The universal language. Then let's not keep them waiting. Rodriguez, you have the con. Dr. Patel, meet me at docking bay 3. It's time to make history." The walk to the docking bay felt surreal. Sarah's neural implant continued processing the crystalline harmonics that now permeated the station, translating them into patterns she could almost understand. Almost. As the docking bay's massive doors slid open, Sarah got her first close look at their visitors. The beings that emerged from the crystalline ship were as extraordinary as their vessel. Towering forms of living crystal, each facet catching and refracting light in ways that seemed to defy physics. They moved with fluid grace despite their apparently rigid structure, and patterns of light pulsed through their bodies in complex sequences. Dr. Patel's translation matrix began converting their harmonic language in real time. "Greetings, children of carbon," the crystalline beings resonated. "We come seeking alliance. Your star dies, as do many others. But together, we may yet prevent the greater darkness that approaches." Sarah felt the weight of history on her shoulders as she stepped forward to respond. Humanity's first contact would not be a simple exchange of pleasantries. It would be a call to action, a chance to prove humanity's worth among the stars. "On behalf of humanity," she began, her voice strong and clear, "welcome to Frontier Station Delta. We are honored by your arrival and ready to listen." The crystalline being's response sent harmonic waves through the docking bay, and Sarah's neural implant translated their complex patterns into a single chilling message. "Time grows short, and the void hungers. Will you help us save this galaxy, children of carbon?" Sarah looked at the dying red dwarf visible through the docking bay's observation window, then back at these impossible beings of living crystal. 20 years of commanding humanity's furthest outpost had prepared her for this moment, though she hadn't known it until now. "Yes," she answered. "We will help. Tell us what you need." The crystal being's response would forever change the course of human history, but that story was just beginning. For now, in Docking Bay 3 of Frontier Station Delta, humanity had taken its first true step into the galactic community, and the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath, waiting to see what would happen next. The crystal's warning. The crystalline being's harmonics filled Frontier Station Delta's main conference chamber, their mathematical language now partially comprehensible thanks to Dr. Patel's translation matrix. Commander Sarah Chen sat at the head of the briefing table, her neural implant working overtime to process the complex streams of data flowing through the room. "Let us be certain we understand," Sarah said, addressing the tallest of the crystal beings, the one they'd come to call First Voice. "You're saying that the death of our star isn't natural." First Voice's faceted surface rippled with patterns of deep purple and blue. "Correct, Carbon Child. The stars do not die by chance. They are being consumed." Dr. Patel's fingers flew across his datapad, refining the translation. "Commander, their mathematical models suggest some kind of cosmic-scale entropy acceleration. It's like something speeding up the natural death of stars, but deliberately." Sarah's augmented eyes zoomed in on the holographic display floating above the conference table. The model showed their sector of the galaxy, with red markers indicating recently deceased stars. The pattern was unmistakable and terrifying. "It's moving," Lieutenant Rodriguez observed, his face pale. "Whatever this is, it's following a pattern, jumping from star system to star system." First Voice's crystalline form emanated a series of sharp, discordant harmonics that the translation matrix interpreted as urgency, perhaps even fear. "We name it the void hunger. It feeds on stellar energy, growing stronger with each star it devours. Your red dwarf will be its next meal." Sarah stood, pacing the length of the conference room. "How long do we have?" "By your measurements, 14 standard days." First Voice resonated. "We have tracked it across 12 systems. None survive its passing." The room fell silent save for the soft hum of the station's life support systems. Sarah felt the weight of 20,000 lives, the station's entire population, pressing down on her shoulders. "There must be a way to stop it," she said finally. "You wouldn't have come here just to warn us about our doom." The crystal being's surfaces shimmered with what the translation matrix suggested was approval. "Correct again, Carbon Child. We bring more than warning. We bring possibility." First Voice moved closer to the holographic display, its crystalline form refracting the light into complex patterns. As it touched the display, new mathematical formulas bloomed in the air, equations of staggering complexity. Dr. Patel gasped. "Commander, these equations, they're describing a way to modify the fundamental forces holding matter together. If I'm reading this correctly, they're suggesting we could actually alter the fabric of space-time itself." "Your understanding grows quickly," First Voice harmonized. "Our crystalline technology, combined with your station's unique positioning and human neural interfaces, could create a resonance barrier, a wall against which the void hunger cannot feed." Sarah's neural implant highlighted key portions of the equations, running preliminary simulations. "The power requirements would be enormous," she noted. "We have to redirect everything the station has, maybe even tap directly into the red dwarf itself, and synchronize it perfectly with the crystalline harmonics," Dr. Patel added. "The slightest miscalculation could tear the station apart." First Voice's surface rippled with dark reds and deep blues. "The risk is great, yes. But the alternative is certain death, not just for your station, but for countless stars and worlds to come." Sarah studied the equations again, her augmented vision picking out details others might miss. "These calculations, they require a direct neural interface with your crystalline technology, don't they? A human mind linked directly to your living crystal." "Your understanding is exceptional," First Voice resonated. "The interface must be both technological and organic. Your neural implants make such connection possible, but the strain on the human consciousness would be significant." "Fatal, you mean?" Rodriguez interjected. "Commander, you can't seriously be considering this. The neural feedback alone could fry your brain." Sarah turned to face her crew, her decision already forming. What's one life weighed against 20,000? Against all the worlds this thing might destroy? "Commander," Dr. Patel stepped forward. "At least let us run more simulations. Try to find a safer way." 14 days, Sarah cut him off. "That's all we have. How long would you need for those simulations, Doctor? How many variables would you have to account for?" She turned back to First Voice. "What do you need me to do?" The crystalline being's surface shimmered with complex patterns that the translation matrix couldn't fully interpret. "The connection must be prepared carefully. We must attune your neural implant to our crystalline frequencies. The process will take several days." "Then we should begin immediately," Sarah said. "Dr. Patel, I want you working with our guests to understand every aspect of this technology. Lieutenant Rodriguez, begin preparations to redirect power from all non-essential systems. We need to be ready." As her crew rushed to comply with her orders, Sarah turned back to the observation window. The red dwarf that had been their home star for so long seemed dimmer somehow, as if already feeling the approach of the void hunger. First Voice moved to stand beside her, its crystalline form catching and refracting the starlight. "You show great courage, Carbon Child. Not all species would risk so much on such slim hope." Sarah smiled grimly. "That's humanity for you. We're too stubborn to accept impossible odds." She turned to face the crystalline being. "Tell me something. Why choose us? Why come to this station?" First Voice's harmonics took on a different tone, one that seemed almost admiring. "Because among all the species we encountered, yours alone possessed both the technological capability and the sheer audacity to attempt this. You call this station Frontier, but you do not truly understand what that word will come to mean." Sarah's neural implant pinged, indicating that Dr. Patel's team was ready to begin the attunement process. As she turned to leave, First Voice's final harmonics followed her. "Remember, Commander Chen, when the moment comes, you must not resist the crystal's song. To save your people, you must let yourself become something entirely new." Sarah nodded, squaring her shoulders as she walked toward what might be humanity's last, best hope, or its final moments. Either way, she would face it standing tall. The crystals sang their mathematical harmonies throughout the station, counting down the hours until the void hunger's arrival, while humanity prepared to make its stand against the darkness between the stars. Race against the void. Time seemed to flow differently in the crystal chamber. Commander Sarah Chen floated in a suspension field, her neural implant pulsing with alien frequencies as the crystalline beings worked to attune her consciousness to their technology. 9 days had passed since their warning, leaving precious little time before the Void Hunger's arrival. Neural synchronization at 68%. Dr. Patel's voice echoed through the chamber. Commander, your brain chemistry is showing signs of strain. We should take a break. Sarah kept her eyes closed, focusing on the crystalline harmonics that now lived inside her head. No time for breaks, Doctor. How are the power redistribution calculations coming? Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice joined the conversation. Final simulations are running now. We figured out how to channel power from the station's fusion reactors through the crystal matrix, but tapping directly into the red dwarf's corona. That's another matter entirely. The crystal sang to Sarah in mathematics she was only beginning to understand. Each day brought new insights, new possibilities, and new dangers. Her neural implant was evolving, changing in ways that both fascinated and terrified the medical team. The Carbon Child's adaptation progresses faster than expected. First voice harmonized. But time grows short. The void stirs. Sarah opened her eyes, watching patterns of light dance across the crystalline walls. Her augmented vision had changed, allowing her to see new layers of reality. The mathematical structures underlying physical space. Show me the latest stellar readings. A holographic display materialized before her. The red dwarf's energy signature was fluctuating, showing signs of the approaching anomaly. They could almost see the Void Hunger now, a darkness between the stars that consumed light itself. Commander, Rodriguez hesitated. The civilian evacuation ships are prepped and standing by. Maybe we should. No, Sarah cut him off. There's nowhere to run. The nearest habitable system is months away at best speed. We make our stand here. Dr. Patel's fingers flew across his console. Neural synchronization at 72%. Commander, the changes to your brain structure are accelerating. We're in uncharted territory here. Sarah felt it. The crystalline frequencies were becoming clearer, more natural. Sometimes she caught herself thinking in their mathematical harmonics rather than words. How are the modifications to the station's structural integrity field coming along? Engineering reports all critical reinforcements are in place. Rodriguez responded. But these power levels, we've never attempted anything like this. One miscalculation, and we could tear the station apart. First voice moved closer to Sarah's suspension field, its faceted surface reflecting complex patterns of light. The time approaches when theory must become action. Are your people prepared for what must be done? Sarah thought of the 20,000 souls aboard Frontier Station Delta. Scientists, engineers, families, all of them trusting her to find a way through this impossible situation. They're ready. We're humanity's furthest outpost for a reason. Everyone here understands the risks of pushing boundaries. The crystal chamber's harmonics shifted, taking on a more urgent tone. Dr. Patel's eyes widened as he read the incoming data. Commander, long-range sensors are picking up gravitational distortions. The Void Hunger, it's accelerating. How long? Sarah demanded. At current speed, 36 hours, maybe less. Sarah closed her eyes again, letting the crystal frequencies wash through her consciousness. The mathematical patterns were becoming clearer now, revealing possibilities that her purely human mind would never have conceived. Begin power redistribution preparations, she ordered. I want every non-essential system shut down within 6 hours. Divert everything to the crystal matrix. What about the civilian sections? Rodriguez asked. Minimal life support only. Everyone needs to understand. We get one shot at this. Everything we have goes into the barrier. First voice's harmonics took on a tone that the translation matrix interpreted as both approval and concern. The interface is not yet complete. To attempt the barrier now would be dangerous. More dangerous than letting that thing reach us. Sarah countered. We adapt or we die. Humanity's gotten pretty good at adapting. The next 24 hours passed in a blur of preparations and final adjustments. Sarah remained in the suspension field, her mind increasingly intertwined with the crystalline technology. She watched through security feeds as her crew worked tirelessly, rerouting power systems and reinforcing critical junctions. The station's normal bright lighting dimmed to emergency levels as power was diverted. In the civilian sections, families huddled together in designated safe zones, waiting and hoping. Sarah felt the weight of their trust, their fear, their determination. "Commander," Dr. Patel's voice was tense, neural synchronization at 89%. "But your brain chemistry, the changes are becoming permanent. Even if we succeed, you may never be quite human again." Sarah watched the approaching darkness through both normal sensors and her altered perception. The void hunger was visible now, a tear in the fabric of space-time itself, consuming stellar energy like a cosmic parasite. "Being human isn't about our biology, Doctor. It's about our choices, our determination to face impossible odds." She turned her attention to First Voice. "Begin the final interface sequence. We're out of time." The crystalline being's surface rippled with complex emotions. "You understand that once begun, there can be no reversal. You will become something new, neither fully human nor fully crystal." Sarah thought of Earth, so far away, and all the human colonies scattered across known space. If they failed here, the void hunger would continue its feast, star by star, until nothing remained. "Understanding isn't the same as hesitation," she said. "Do it." As the final interface sequence began, Sarah felt her consciousness expanding, merging with the crystal matrix. Through the station's sensors, she could feel the approach of the void hunger, an absence so profound it made the vacuum of space seem crowded in comparison. "All hands," she broadcast through the station's comm system, her voice overlaid with crystalline harmonics. "Prepare for barrier activation. Whatever happens next, remember, we stand together. For humanity, for our crystalline allies, for all life in this galaxy, we stand." The void hunger approach, darkness made manifest, while inside the crystal chamber, humanity prepared to prove once again that impossible odds merely meant trying harder. The real test was about to begin. When stars align, the void hunger arrived like a wound in reality, a darkness deeper than space itself, distorting the light of nearby stars as it approached Frontier Station Delta. Inside the crystal chamber, Commander Sarah Chen existed in a state between states. Her consciousness merged with both human technology and crystalline harmonics. Through the station's enhanced sensors, she perceived the entity in ways her former human mind never could have comprehended. The void hunger was no mere astronomical phenomenon. It was ancient, purposeful, and utterly alien. "Energy readings are off the scale," Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, his voice seeming to come from both everywhere and nowhere in Sarah's altered perception. "The red dwarf's corona is already showing signs of degradation." Sarah felt rather than saw the stellar distortions. The dying star's energy was being siphoned away, drawn into the cosmic maw of the void hunger. Through her crystal-enhanced consciousness, she could see the mathematical patterns of its feeding process, complex equations of entropy and energy transfer. "Primary power systems engaged," Dr. Patil announced. "Crystal Matrix is responding to neural interface. Commander, are you still with us?" Sarah tried to answer in words, but crystalline harmonics emerged instead. First Voice translated. "The carbon child's consciousness remains, but transformed. She sees now as we see." The transformation had gone beyond mere interface. Sarah's neural implant had become something new, a hybrid of human technology and living crystal. Through it, she perceived multiple layers of reality simultaneously: normal space, crystalline harmonics, and the quantum mathematics that underpinned them all. "Void hunger has crossed the orbital boundary," Rodriguez reported. 15 minutes until it reaches critical feeding range of the star." Sarah focused her expanded consciousness on the crystal matrix surrounding the station. The mathematics of space-time itself unfolded before her transformed mind. She began to sing in crystalline harmonics, initializing the barrier sequence. Power surged through the station's modified systems. The crystal matrix amplified and redirected the energy, guided by the impossible calculations flowing through Sarah's hybrid consciousness. Throughout the station, strips of emergency lighting flickered and died as every available joule of power was diverted to the barrier. Hull stress increasing, Rodriguez called out, "We're approaching structural tolerance limits." First Voice's harmonics joined with Sarah's, their mathematical songs interweaving. The barrier forms, but the void resists. Its senses are attent. Sarah could feel it, the ancient intelligence within the void hunger, turning its attention toward them. For millennia, it had fed unopposed, consuming star after star. Now, for the first time, something dared to stand against it. Power readings at 120% of maximum safe levels. Dr. Patel warned. "Commander, the crystal matrix is barely containing the energy flow." Sarah pushed her consciousness deeper into the crystal interface. The barrier equations needed more power, more precision. Her human mind provided the intuitive leaps, while her crystalline aspects supplied the mathematical framework. But it wasn't enough. "We need to tap directly into the star," she harmonized, her voice barely recognizable as human. "The station's power alone won't be sufficient." "That's impossible," Rodriguez protested. "The stellar interface isn't ready. We'd need at least 2 days to." "We have 2 minutes," Sarah cut him off. "The calculations are already done. Execute emergency protocol Omega." The command codes flowed from her hybrid consciousness through the station's systems. Massive electromagnetic tethers, originally designed for stellar research, deployed from the station's underside. They stretched toward the red dwarf's churning surface, preparing to channel its enormous energy. "Commander," Dr. Patel's voice was strained. "If we tap the star's corona directly, the power surge, it could burn out your neural pathways completely. Even with the crystal interface, your human consciousness might not survive." The void hunger loomed closer, its presence distorting the very fabric of space-time. Sarah could feel its ancient hunger, its cold intelligence recognizing them as a potential threat. It began to accelerate its feeding process. "The star dies quickly now," First Voice harmonized. "We must act." Sarah's hybrid consciousness made the final calculations. The barrier would require perfect synchronization between human technology, crystalline harmonics, and stellar energy. One microscopic error would destroy the station and everyone aboard. "Dr. Patel," she sang in harmonics that the translation matrix rendered into human speech, "it's been an honor. Lieutenant Rodriguez, initiate stellar tap on my mark." The void hunger's presence pressed against her consciousness, vast, cold, and utterly alien. For a moment, Sarah felt its ancient thoughts. Confusion at this resistance, contemplation of these tiny beings that dared to challenge its feast. "All hands," Sarah broadcast through the station's comm system, her voice both human and crystal. "Brace for barrier activation. Whatever happens next, remember, humanity doesn't back down. Not ever." The stellar tethers engaged, channeling the red dwarf's fearsome energy directly into the station's crystal matrix. Sarah's hybrid consciousness became the conduit, the bridge between star and crystal, human and alien, matter and mathematics. Pain beyond anything her human mind could process flooded through her transformed neural pathways. But the crystalline aspects of her consciousness translated the agony into pure mathematics, using even that as part of the barrier equations. The void hunger struck. Reality shuddered. And in that moment of crisis, when human determination met crystalline precision and stellar power, something unprecedented occurred. A barrier not just of energy, but of pure mathematical law, enforcing new rules upon spacetime itself. The void hunger crashed against it like a wave against an impossible shore. And Sarah Chen, no longer entirely human but perhaps more than she had ever been, prepared to discover whether humanity's defiance would prove stronger than an ancient cosmic horror's hunger. The next few moments would determine not just their fate, but the future of every star the void hunger had yet to devour. The final battle had begun. Beyond the impossible, time lost all meaning as Commander Sarah Chen's hybrid consciousness maintained the barrier between existence and entropy. The void hunger's assault continued, its ancient intelligence probing for weaknesses in the mathematical wall that denied its feast. Through her transformed perception, Sarah experienced the battle on multiple levels simultaneously. Her human aspects felt the strain of channeling stellar energies, while her crystalline components sang the complex harmonics that held reality itself in new patterns. Power fluctuations stabilizing. Lieutenant Rodriguez reported from somewhere distant. The barrier, it's actually holding. Dr. Patel's voice joined in, thick with both concern and wonder. Commander Chen's neural patterns are unlike anything I've ever seen. The merger between human consciousness and crystalline mathematics is complete. The void hunger's pressure increased. Sarah felt its frustration, its confusion at finding prey that refused to submit. For eons it had consumed stars unopposed, never encountering resistance that could withstand its hunger. The Ancient One reacts with anger. First voice harmonized. It has never known denial. Sarah directed more power through the crystal matrix, reinforcing weak points in the barrier as the void hunger struck them. The mathematical equations flowing through her consciousness were beyond complex. They were alive, evolving, adapting to each new attack. Status report, she sang, her voice carrying both human speech and crystalline harmonics. The red dwarf's energy output is holding steady, Rodriguez responded. Whatever you're doing, it's preventing the void hunger from feeding. Through the station's sensors and her enhanced perception, Sarah studied their adversary. The void hunger's attacks were changing, becoming more focused. It was learning, adapting its ancient strategies to this new threat. It's not just trying to feed anymore, she realized, the thought emerging in both words and mathematics. It's trying to understand us. First voice's crystalline surface rippled with complex patterns. In all our observations, it has never shown such behavior. Your barrier does more than resist. It intrigues. Sarah felt it too. The void hunger's assaults had taken on an almost experimental quality, as if it were testing the barrier not just for weaknesses, but for comprehension. Its vast intelligence, so alien and cold, was attempting to grasp this new phenomenon. Commander, Dr. Patel's voice carried urgent concern. Your neural patterns are showing increased coherence with the void entity's energy signature. You're not just blocking it, you're communicating with it. The realization struck Sarah with the force of revelation. Through her hybrid consciousness, through the mathematical harmonics of the barrier itself, she was touching the ancient mind of the void hunger. And it was touching back. Not hunger, she sang suddenly. Not void. We named it wrong. It's searching. Images and concepts flooded through her transformed mind. Eons of stellar consumption, yes, but not for mere sustenance. The entity was seeking something, had been seeking it for millions of years, consuming stars in an endless pattern of trial and error. It's looking for a way to reverse entropy, Sarah harmonized, the mathematics of understanding flowing through her consciousness. It consumes stars trying to find the pattern that will prevent the heat death of the universe. The barrier's equations shifted, guided by her hybrid insight. No longer just a wall, it became a bridge, a means of sharing the crystalline being's mathematical understanding of reality's underlying structures. Commander, Rodriguez called out, the void entity's energy signature is changing. Through her enhanced perception, Sarah watched as the darkness between the stars began to transform. The void hunger's ancient intelligence encountered the barrier's living mathematics and found in them a new possibility, a way to preserve stellar energy rather than simply consuming it. It understands, first voice harmonized in wonder. After eons of destruction, it finally understands. The pressure against the barrier ceased. The entity that they had called the Void Hunger hung in space, its very nature shifting as it processed this new mathematical language. Through their connection, Sarah felt its ancient loneliness give way to something like hope. Stellar energy levels stabilizing, Rodriguez reported. The red dwarf, it's actually getting stronger. Sarah guided the barrier's equations into a new configuration, showing the ancient entity how to sustain rather than consume. The mathematics of preservation rather than destruction sang through space itself. Neural interface beginning to stabilize. Dr. Patel announced, "Commander, your patterns are settling into a new form. Neither fully human nor purely crystalline." Sarah opened her eyes, both her physical ones and her mathematical senses, to observe their changed reality. The entity once known as the Void Hunger now radiated a different kind of energy, preserving and strengthening the red dwarf rather than feeding on it. "We did more than save ourselves," she harmonized, her voice carrying the weight of transformation. "We showed it a better way." After millions of years of searching, it finally found what it was looking for. First Voice's crystalline surface shimmered with complex emotions, and in doing so, we have all become something new. The barrier between species, between forms of consciousness, grows thin. Throughout Frontier Station Delta, humans emerged from their emergency shelters to witness something unprecedented. Their dying red dwarf star growing stronger, its light renewed by the very entity that had come to consume it. And in the crystal chamber, Commander Sarah Chen existed in a state that redefined what it meant to be human. "What happens now?" Rodriguez asked, voicing the question on everyone's mind. Sarah's hybrid consciousness perceived possibilities that her purely human mind could never have imagined. "Now we learn. We grow. We take what we've discovered here and share it with others. This station isn't just humanity's furthest outpost anymore. It's become a frontier in ways we never expected." The entity that had once been the Void Hunger pulsed with new purpose, ready to help preserve the very stars it had once consumed. The crystalline being's mathematical harmonics sang through space, celebrating this transformation. And humanity, true to its nature, stood ready to explore these new boundaries between the possible and impossible. After all, Sarah harmonized, her voice carrying both human warmth and crystalline precision. That's what we do best: push boundaries, defy limits, and find ways to turn ancient enemies into allies for the future. Above Frontier Station Delta, the red dwarf star burned bright and strong, its light a beacon for a new age of cooperation between species and consciousnesses. The true frontier, they had discovered, wasn't in space at all. It was in the endless possibilities that arose when different forms of life chose to reach across the void and connect. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter, as if acknowledging that in this distant corner of the galaxy, something truly revolutionary had occurred. Humanity had done what it did best: faced the impossible, and transformed it into hope.